Good afternoon, YouTube. So I'm trying a new version of this shift knob. It's actually the same 3D model that I used on the previous one, but this one I printed out of TPU filament, thermoplastic polyurethane. I did like a 50% infill, so it's a little bit squishy. That's the thing, this TPU filament really sticks. Yeah, so this is the BuildTak PEI material, and then I put talcum powder on top to keep the material from sticking so much. But the idea of this is, in my Forerunner, I have a B&M shifter for the transmission. The factory shifter is two pieces. It's got the metal steel base, and then there's the upper section where the shift knob is. And the way Toyota makes those is there's sort of a conical section at the bottom of the upper piece. I believe they use something like a polyurethane that fills that conical section, and then the metal rod from the lower section is embedded in that rubbery material, and that absorbs vibration and noise from the transmission from going up the shift rod. Well, the B&M shifter that I have is steel all the way from the bottom to the top. And one thing I noticed with the original factory rubber shift knob, it was quiet. But with the ABS plastic one that I printed a year or so ago, there's vibration, and if you hold the knob, that dampens out the noise and you don't hear it. But if you're not touching the knob, it'll start vibrating in certain gears, certain speeds, and you just hear this buzzing sound. So I'm thinking if I do a polyurethane shift knob, that might soak up the vibration. So I figured I'd start at a 50% infill. So this has a little bit of squish to it. Next thing I got to do is I have to shove the threaded tube in there. So I take my 14mm internally threaded tube and shove it up inside, and then that way I can screw this onto the shift lever. So let's go do that next. So some good news and bad news on the TPU or polyurethane shift knob. The good news is it did basically eliminate all the vibration and noise that I was getting. The problem is it's like driving with a tennis ball on your shifter. It's really, really squishy. I printed this at 50% infill, and I think that's a little too soft, especially when it gets warm inside. If it's a really hot day, push on the shifter and it feels like it's just going to collapse. And especially down at the bottom, it's just too flexible. So what I did as a test is I printed this shift knob at 90% infill. I'm going to give that a try. It's a lot more solid. I haven't tried to sand this one or finish it. I just want to see if it's going to work. Yeah, so let me pull the other one off and I'll slide this one on. Okay, yeah, just slid this one on. I haven't glued it in place yet. I just figure I'll play around with them until I get the right infill. I figure I'll drive around with this for a week or so and see if the noise is likewise damped. I don't know if it's just the material, the TPU filament, that's damping out the noise, or if it's the infill. So if 90% is too noisy, then I can drop down, maybe try 75%, something like that. But yeah, this one is a lot more solid. There's still a little bit of give to it. You can see it bends a little bit. So yeah, we'll try it and see. So yeah, I can either go up to 100% or I can drop it down to 75 or 80%. So we'll try it out and see what it feels like. Yeah, I think this one was probably about 2 ounces. I forget the weight. I didn't weigh this one. This one comes in at 86 grams, which is about 3 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier too. Gives you a little more mass there on the end. The ABS one that I printed, I think that one was only like 25 or 25% infill, so it was really light. But on the other hand, I think being that it was hollow like that, it created a lot of the noise coming up. Again, on the factory shifter, it's probably okay, because the factory shifter has that rubber section in it basically at the bottom or part way down, versus this B&M shifter is solid steel all the way from the transmission up, so it tends to be a little bit noisier. So we'll see how that works, and I'll report back, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching.